Russian airlines have grounded 34 of the 66 Airbus A320neo and A321neo planes in the country as a result of Western sanctions, Kommersant Business Daily reported on Thursday. The planes have been taken out of service in recent months due to difficulties sourcing parts, making it impossible to properly maintain the aircraft's engines, the outlet reported. Some of the Airbus Neo planes are equipped with engines manufactured by U.S. company Pratt & Whitney, while the others are supplied with LEAP 1A engines, which are produced by Franco-American manufacturer CFM International. Before sanctions were imposed on Russia by the US, the EU, and their allies in relation to the Ukraine conflict, the country was a major market for aircraft lessors, which purchased jets from Boeing and Airbus, leasing them to local carriers. However, the sweeping restrictions have prevented Russian operators from accessing spare parts and maintenance services from Western suppliers. According to sources cited by Kommersant, some planes are set to remain grounded until the beginning of the next high season, when most aircraft will be able to resume flights. However, half of the grounded Airbus planes are reportedly at risk of not returning to service. Russian airlines have reportedly been forced to ground around half of their Airbus A320, A321neo fleets due to ongoing difficulties in sourcing vital spare parts, primarily engines, amid crippling Western sanctions. As Kommersant reported on November 21, 34 of Russia's 66 Airbus aircraft are currently out of service due to unresolved engine issues exacerbated by Western sanctions. The main challenge lies in sourcing replacement engines manufactured by US-based Pratt & Whitney, a consequence of the sanctions imposed following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The hardest hit among Russian carriers is S7 Airlines, also known as Siberia Airlines, which has grounded 31 of its 39 Airbus A320neo and A321neo planes. These aircraft, aged between 3 and 7 years, constitute a key portion of S7's fleet. National carrier Aeroflot and Ural Airlines have also grounded 2 and 1 aircraft, respectively. Industry insiders revealed to Kommersant that S7 Airlines plans to conserve its operational engines for use during the next peak travel season. However, there are concerns that over 20 of its Airbus planes have already exhausted their engine lifespans, raising doubts about the feasibility of this strategy. Meanwhile, other Russian A320neo and A321neo aircraft, totaling 27 units, primarily use French-made LEAP engines, which are reportedly less affected by the sanctions. Despite this, sources suggest that if repair solutions remain unavailable, large-scale retirements of Airbus planes in Russia could begin as early as 2026. The potential loss of these aircraft may not drastically impact Russia's overall air travel capacity, as A320neo and A321neo models represent approximately 10% of the country's foreign long-haul fleet. However, for S7 Airlines, the retirement of these planes could lead to a 10 to 15% reduction in passenger traffic by the end of 2025. Experts note that airlines are likely to avoid seasonal imbalances in operations, as conserving and reactivating aircraft engines is prohibitively expensive. Meanwhile, the new development comes just days after Eurasian Times reported that nearly 30 Russian airlines, responsible for over 25% of the country's domestic passenger traffic, may face bankruptcy by 2025 due to mounting financial pressures. The ongoing impact of Western sanctions on Russia's aviation sector has led to severe operational disruptions, with the latest issue being the grounding of nearly half of the country's Airbus A320, A321neo fleet. The new maintenance challenges come as no surprise, given the sweeping sanctions imposed after Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. These sanctions have crippled Russia's ability to access essential components and technology for its aviation sector. In addition, major aircraft manufacturers like Boeing and Airbus have halted their maintenance services and spare parts supply for Russian airlines. This has severely strained the country's civil aviation operations, leaving Russian airlines struggling to maintain their fleets. Dmitry Yadro, the head of Russia's Federal Air Transport Agency, Rosaviatsia, had already warned in July that passenger numbers in Russia would likely experience a major decline due to the challenges posed by these sanctions, particularly about aircraft maintenance, which has become nearly impossible. While airlines have requested permission to send aircraft parts abroad for repairs, sources familiar with the matter told Kommersant that this would not be feasible. Such operations can only take place in unfriendly countries, those that have imposed sanctions on Russia, where strict monitoring ensures that engine components do not end up back in Russia. In response to these constraints, Russian media reported in July that state-owned Rosatom, the country's nuclear energy corporation, would collaborate with Aeroflot to begin producing spare parts for foreign-made Boeing and Airbus aircraft within Russia. This new production effort will focus on components for onboard equipment in Aeroflot's fleet, including air conditioning, power supply, and lighting systems. S7, the country's third biggest airline, has reportedly faced the biggest difficulties. The company reportedly suspended 31 of its 39 A320neo and A321neo aircraft, which are between 3 and 7 years old. The engines installed in more than 20 of S7's Airbus planes have reportedly reached the end of their operational lifespan. Meanwhile, Russia's largest air carrier, Aeroflot, reportedly had to ground 2 of its 9 Airbus Neo jets, while Ural Airlines suspended 1 of its 11 planes. 7 more of the jets in Russia are currently operated by Nordwind Airlines, Smartavia, and Northwest Air Company. Sources also told the news outlet that Russia may have to start retiring its Airbus planes en masse by 2026 if no maintenance options emerge.